In this report, I asked the question, do you have enough money to retire early? Now, I'm not a financial planner. I'm just a guy on the internet that reads a lot and likes to think about what I read. So I'll explain how I analyze this question, but you'll need to talk to your financial planner before making any final decisions. While I explain how I analyze this problem, I'm going to show you pictures that I took myself as I traveled all over the world for the last 14 years. You see, I retired early and travel the world now. I have been to 67 countries since I left the USA 14 years ago. So the question, do I have enough money to retire early, seems to have some assumptions built right into the question. So let's look at those assumptions first. The first assumption is that they have some money now. And the second is that they're too young to retire at the conventional retirement age. So they want to know if they have enough money, if they've saved enough money to last until they reach the official retirement age, when presumably they'll have a pension or a 401k or Social Security or something like that. Assume next that they have read our Retire Cheap reports all over the world and they've completed their exploratory visit to 3 or 4 of these places and they've picked their favorite location, and during their visit they estimated that it would cost them about $1,300 per month to stay fat and happy in paradise. And you'll have to adjust these figures according to your situation, but with this example it'll give you an idea how to do that. So let's say that they want to retire 4 years early, so they'll not be able to collect their retirement paycheck for 48 months. They know they'll need to cover the cost of living for 48 months before their monthly check starts coming in. So they decide to add another $200 a month to make it $1,500 just to be extra safe. So $1,500 a month times 48 months, they'll need $72,000 in order to before their retirement check starts. Let's also assume that they have $167,000. So they have more than they need to last the 48 months. So if they can stay within budget and only spend $72,000 for the 48 months, then they'll still have $95,000 left over. So the $167,000 they have minus the $72,000 leaves them $95,000 at the end of the 4 years. Now, is that enough? Let's assume also they visited the Social Security webpage link provided, and they have determined that their full retirement check will be $1,833 per month when they reach the full retirement age in 48 months. So on the surface, the $167,000 looks like it'll be enough to make it for 48 months. Plus, they'd have an extra $95,000 left over at the end. You may remember that a few weeks ago I did a report called The 2 Biggest Risks in Retiring Cheap Overseas. Make sure to click and read that. Below this will be a link called More Information. Click that, read that report too. I explain the 2 biggest risks, your health and your money to retiring, and I explain how I handle those 2 risks. The report talks about an emergency fund to help reduce both of the risks, running out of money and health problems of retiring cheap overseas. There I explain that you need what I call an emergency fund and an emergency parachute. The emergency fund and parachute are covered in details in that report, so make sure to click and read. So what about the emergency fund and the parachute? I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just explaining how I do this, how I would analyze this. I would split the $167,000 into 2 parts in my mind. The first part would be the $72,000 I would need for the 48 months until I retire. I would, in my mind, I would separate that to the side, and that means I would have another $95,000 I would label as my emergency fund. In my 2 biggest risks report, I talk about keeping 36 months of living costs in my emergency fund. That would be $1,500 a month for 36 months or $54,000. So even at the end of 48 months, draining my account, I would still have the $95,000 or more that would be more than the $54,000 I would need for my emergency fund. So if this were me, I would say yes. I would have enough left over in my emergency fund to help reduce the risk of retiring cheap overseas, both during the 48 months and at the end. I would have more than I needed for my emergency fund. But I have a very high risk tolerance. It may not be high enough for you. So, should you invest the early retirement or the emergency funds? Some financial planners will tell you to reduce risk as you get closer to retirement age. I would apply this reasoning here. Since I would need that $1,500 a month no matter what, I would keep that in a very low risk investment vehicle, possibly even just T-bills. And so I would keep that $72,000 maybe in T-bills. The emergency fund's a little bit different. First of all, the emergency funds exceeds the $54,000 I would feel comfortable with. So I might take the excess amount above the $54,000 and I would invest that in the slightly more risky investments. The extra risk or the extra money might grow and a little faster. So the extra income I would get might offset any inflation that I might experience in retirement. Hopefully my $1,830 monthly retirement will have a cost of living adjustment for inflation also, and so that would creep up each year. If I decided to take on any more risk for whatever reason, I would probably buy put options on whatever riskier equities I bought. So in worst case scenario, if a stock plummets, I would have a put option I could exercise just to remove the downside risk. What about lump sum retirees? We all know people or have heard people like that. They have no pension or Social Security, no 401k, but they have a lump sum. Maybe they got it, however, through a divorce, or maybe they got it selling a business, or they sell their house. This is an almost impossible question to answer. For example, if someone that's 55 years old with a lump sum, say of $600,000, they want to know if it's enough to retire cheap overseas. There are too many variables to answer this question. You'd need a crystal ball, really. How much erosion of capital will happen because of inflation, say over 30 years, assuming they're expecting to live till 85 years of age? They'll need to keep the $600K. Will they need to keep it in more risky investments because it's such a long period of time, 30 years? What if the market crashes? How long will they live? What if they live past 85? All of these things make it very hard. However, there is this rule called the 4% rule. Roughly, the rule states that if you don't take out more than 4%, that it will last about 30 years. You should withdraw no more than 4% of your lump sum per year. And there's a link on the webpage I'll show you explaining how the 4% rule works. If you multiply 4% by 30 years, that means you're withdrawing 120% of the lump sum over the 30-year period. The extra 20% is created by income you receive on the $600K as it's slowly declining over the 30-year period. So if this person has $600K lump sum, they would be able to withdraw 4% or $24,000 per year, which is $2,000 per month, which would certainly fit the 1,300 scenario. But you still have the problem of their health. You don't know what expenses they're going to have, and you don't know how bad inflation is going to be. For that reason, many experts say the 4% rule is not dependable because you don't know how bad inflation will be or how long you'll live. So to be safe, either live on less than 4% or earn some extra money in retirement. But remember, these are just frameworks for ideas about how to talk about early retirement. Once you have a framework for your ideas of how it's going to work, then you have to go over the details with a financial planner. They have the knowledge and experience necessary to poke holes in your theory, and they'll help you increase the chances that your plan, once you poke some holes in it and filled those, that you have a better chance for success. So finally, should you supplement your income in retirement? This is also a complicated question. You want to go over with your accountant and your financial planner, because sometimes if you make too much, you begin to reduce your retirement, for example, Social Security. Many people continue working during their retirement years. This helps in two ways. The longer that you wait to retire, the less money you will need once you finally do. For example, if you work until 70 and die at 85, you only need to fund 15 years of retirement. Working longer also means that your monthly check will likely be higher when you finally do retire. As for an example, if you retire at 62, one table I saw said if your check was $1,200 per month at 62, if you wait till 67, it would be $1,800 a month. If you wait till 70, it might be $2,400 per month. But that didn't sound appealing to me. I wanted to retire even earlier than 62. I decided to retire early because I wanted to have more energy when I traveled. I wanted to be able to hike to higher elevations, partake in strenuous activities, keep a hectic travel schedule without running out of energy. I didn't want my age or senility robbing me of the joys of world travel. I wanted to keep my brain fresh once I was retired. I also didn't want to run out of money in old age in case I lived longer. That's why I decided I would supplement my income in retirement. For me, the key was figuring out something fun to do in retirement. I didn't want it to just be about money. I wanted it to be fun. Over the last 20 years, I've watched the internet economy slowly swallow the brick and mortar economy. It seemed like some sort of magic force that was changing the world at an ever-increasing rate. I wanted to understand how the internet economy worked. It was fascinating to me every time I read about it. I'm one of those people that likes to understand how things work. I was tired of watching all these kids make a buck on the internet, so I decided I would keep my mind fresh, make extra money in retirement by starting my own business online. So rather than just hope I would have enough money in retirement, I set a goal to make money online with my hobby. I wanted to make money online doing my favorite thing, travel. So I decided to teach people how to retire early and travel the world on the cheap. And it's worked. I'm presently making triple what I need to travel the world with my online hobby. I'm so thankful to my paid subscribers. I decided to create a course called the Hobby Income Course. The course teaches people how to supplement their income doing their favorite thing in the world, their favorite hobby. The course is a bonus to my paid subscribers, whether they're a $9 monthly member or the $99 one-time lifetime members of my Retire Cheap in Paradise reports. They get this course just as a bonus. Feel free to check out my free report, What is the Best Online Business for Retirees, where it goes over in details how you can use your hobby for supplement your income in retirement. This and all the other resources I've discussed in this report are available to you. Just click the More Information link in the notes below this YouTube video. While you're there, make sure to grab a free copy of my ebook, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 14 Years. This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, the YouTube channel for Vagabond Buddha. The world is your home. What time will you be home for dinner? Hey, if you liked our video, please like, comment, or subscribe. Any of that would help our business. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Click the link in the notes below this video to get a copy of this content. Plus, grab a free copy of my ebook, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 13 Years. While you're there, check out our catalog of Retire Cheap reports all over the world and our Hobby Income course that we just released. Thanks so much.